Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Gaur Premanande Jai Om Vishnupad Pramsprachaya Stotra Satis Divine Grace Abhay Charan Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Pramsprachaya Stotra Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavad Puran Ki Jai Samved Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai All glories to the assembled deities, all glories to the assembled deities, all glories to the assembled deities, all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraet Nashta Praeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Srimad Bhagavatam titled The Song of the Bee, Canto 10, Chapter 47, verse 47. Param Param Saukyam Hi Nairashyam Param Saukyam Hi Nairashyam परम सौख्यम हि नैरश्यम परम सौख्यम हि नैरश्यम परम सौख्यम हि नैरश्यम स्वैरीणि अपि आह पिङ्गला स्वैरीणि अपि आह पिङ्गला स्वैरीणि अपि आह पिङ्गला तज् तज्जनाति नः कृष्णे जनाति नः कृष्ण तज्जनाति नः कृष्णे तथापि असाधुरत्यायाम् परम सौख्यम हि नैरश्यम् स्वैरिणी अपि आह पिङ्गला तज्जानाति नः कृष्णे तथापि असाधुरत्यायाम् नैराश्यम् स्वैरिणी अपि आह पिङ्गला तज्जानाति नं न कृष्णे तथापि आसादुरत्यायाम् परम सौख्यम हि नैराश्यम् स्वैरेण अपि पिङ्गला तज्जानाति न कृष्णे तथापि असाधुरत्यायाम् परम सौख्यम हि नैरश्य स्वैरिणी अपि आह पिङ्गला तज्जानाति न कृष्णे तथापि असाधुरत्यायाम् word to word meaning param the highest saukyam happiness he indeed nairashyam indifference swainini unchaste swairini swairini unchaste api although aha stated pingala the prostitute pingala tat of that janatinam who are aware na for us krishne focused on krishna tata api nevertheless asa the hope duratyaya is impossible to transcend. Translation: indeed the greatest happiness is to renounce all desires, as even the prostitute Pingala has declared. Yet even though we know this, we cannot give up our hope of attaining Krishna. Krishna. Purport: the story of Pingala is narrated in the 11th canto, 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurum Vaishnavam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam तं सजीवनं साद्वैतं सवधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदा सहगना ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं हे श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदार्थम् वञ्चाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पवनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते तप्तकाञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। वंशकल्पदुश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यश्च पतितानां पवनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री प्रभुपाद की। So, Hare Krishna. Indeed, the greatest happiness is to renounce all desires. He says the greatest happiness is to renounce all desires. We read yesterday how we have to develop knowledge and we have to have pure consciousness. So we have to pray for the Lord to have the association of pure consciousness and free from lustful propensities. So as long we are in this material world, uh, the tendency is to gratify senses. So sense gratification is called the cause of miseries. But same the senses, when we engage in senses of Krishna, Rishikesha is one master of the senses. This is like nectar of instruction says, Vacho Vegam, Manasakroda Vegam, Jiva Vegam, Dharapasta Vegam. Yeah, one who is able to control his senses. And also it says, Maha Sarir Avidya Jal Jedendrika. This body is full of this senses and it's the source of all miseries only. It's a source of ignorance. Indeed, the greatest happiness is to renounce all desires, as even the prostitute Pingala has declared. So this is a story of Pingala. She was a prostitute, and she was waiting for. Generally, she waits for customers. So she was on that day. She had no customers. She was saying, watching everybody, and she was thinking, "This person is a good candidate to fulfill. I get money from him." In this way, she was confident. And all of a sudden, at that time, everybody has experience when they don't get money, they become frustrated. Somehow how to get money, if you don't know job or something. Similarly, in this situation, Pingala was thinking of the Lord. She immediately she took renounced, and she got happiness. Even though we know this, we cannot give up hopes of attaining Krishna. So these are the prayers of gopis. They are giving the example Pingala. That's a nice story. Story of Pingala is narrated in 11th canto, 8th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Nice. There was a prostitute named Pingala in the city of Vidya. From her, the Avduta learned another lesson. One day she dressed herself in very attractive clothing and ornaments and was waiting from sunset until midnight for a customer. She waited in great anticipation, but as the time passed, her mind became very uneasy. No man came to see her, and in disgust, she finally became renounced, giving up her hankering for the arrival of a suitor. Thereafter, she engaged herself in thinking only of the Supreme Lord Hari. So this is very nice. In that situation, she engaged herself in thinking only of Supreme Lord Hari. She got frustrated all of a sudden. What is this body? Body is a source of ignorance. That's why Rishabdev says, Tapo divyam putrakena sattvam shuddhir. Human life is meant for austerities to purify our existence. So it says you have to give up in a particular stage, 50 years, go to the forest, vana, and perform austerities, purify your existence. It's a household life. after 50 years, it's cause of suffering. That says. Therefore, see, here also she is thinking only for the Supreme Lord Hari, and her mind achieved the supreme platform of peace. So same in Srimad Bhagavatam. The instruction received from her is that hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Wow. Hare Krishna. The instruction issued from her is the hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. So this is a prison house. We wanted sense gratification, so we are put in this prison house. But by knowledge and by purified consciousness, one should become pure like that. So pure. We have to have a pure consciousness. We have to pray for the Lord for this, to have a purified consciousness, to have the association of purified consciousness person that is free from lustful propensities. She engaged himself thinking only of the Supreme Lord Hari, and her mind achieved the supreme platform of peace. She engaged herself in thinking only of the Supreme Lord Hari, like that the pure devotees, when they offer obeisances, they are always thinking of Krishna, that I am an eternal servitor of Krishna. Even when they offer obeisances, pure devotees 24 hours they are Krishna conscious, always remembering Krishna. So she was hankering, hankering for money. So two things are there, hankering and lamenting. Hankering and lamenting. It's a world of duality. So you don't have wealth, you have wealth, whatever, then you're conscious, somebody will steal away, behavior of thief, or you're very conscious of your mind is going there only. When the mind goes, consciousness goes. So another we heard that 24 hours, Satatam Kirtayantu Mam yesterday. The great souls with great determination, with great endeavor, they are bowing down before the Lord, always chanting the glories of the Lord, always. So what our whole day we do, that conscious, what we see, what we hear, how we associate, what we eat, everything affects. So the great souls, they are always 24 hours remembering, chanting the glories of Krishna, offering obeisance to Krishna. The instruction received from her is that hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Therefore, only one who has given up such hankering can fix himself in meditation of the personal Godhead. So nice statement here is. We conditioned soul forget this. So it says, the instruction received from her instruction is that hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Are the root cause of all suffering. So what's that suffering? This body means birth, old age, disease, and death. Repeated cycle of again and again. So if we desire for this, then again we have to take birth again in this material world. Therefore, only one who has given up such hankering, can fix himself in meditation of the person of Godhead. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Shunya, all desire should be zero, pure conscious. Then we can attain the kingdom of God. Therefore, only one who has given up such hankering can fix himself in meditation upon the personality of Godhead and achieve the transcendental peace. Then only one can achieve peace, he says. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So yeah, so I'll be reading from this Pingala. It's very nice 11th canto. Very nice instructions are there. Before that, I will speak on a few things. I'll touch on material desires. Let's go on happiness, greatest happiness and desires, and attaining Krishna. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of greatest unhappiness, and freedom from desire is the cause of greatest happiness. As long we have this desire, it's undoubtedly the cause of greatest unhappiness. Material desire is undoubtedly the cause of greatest unhappiness. Before we read sense gratification. As long we have a desire for sense gratification, it will be the cause of suffering only. Yeah. As the hopes or sense, the root cause of all suffering that will be there. Therefore, one should give up such hankering and fix himself in the meditation of the Supreme Person of Godhead. So, in this age of Kali Yuga, chanting of the holy name. And now it says, material desire is undoubtedly the cause of greatest unhappiness. And freedom such desire is the cause of greatest happiness. Freedom from such desire is the cause of greatest happiness. Hare Krishna. So desire has to be purified. That's called Krishna consciousness. Purified consciousness is Krishna consciousness. And material desire will only cause of greatest unhappiness. One should seek the association of devotees. That was always great souls. Sukham ati antikam yat tad atintyam grahyam. Bhagavad Gita. The absolute happiness or the perpetual happiness or the greatest happiness is that which is enjoyed by superior natural senses. So the actual happiness is from within the soul, the transcendental happiness, purified consciousness. Absolute happiness or the perpetual happiness or the greatest happiness is that which is enjoyed by supernatural senses. Devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection. The solution is given here. What's the cause of suffering? And how one can achieve happiness? And now it says how we can attain perfection. It says devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection. Even if he renders devotional service for a long time, second, Krishna does not easily deliver perfection in devotional service. So nice. He says, even if he renders devotional service for a long time, he cannot achieve. Devotional perfection is very difficult. Krishna can give everything, all things. Generally, people aspire for name, beauty, wealth, goes on like that. Nobody wants devotional. We can learn from this instruction. The gopis are giving the example of Pingala here, how she quickly attained, she immediately thought of the Lord in that situation. She was hankering after money. Yeah. Devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna. Unless one is attached to Krishna. So that's why it says, Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. The whole process, the program from morning to night, Srila Prabhupada gave us to be attached to Krishna. Such wonderful program. Yes, young. When you're young, you're very active, you're strong. That's the right age. Kaumaram Yavanam Jara. In whatever stage, Krishna consciousness is beneficial. There's no loss. In this endeavor, there is no loss. A little endeavor on this path can save you from the greatest danger of repeated cycle of birth and death. So here he says, devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection. So all the scriptures, all this service, Prabhupada gave 50 books. Right? How actually a great soul is considered of the suffering living entities. He always thinks how they can be delivered. How can he preach Krishna consciousness? He uses his intelligence, everything in service Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, example, he came to West and he single-handedly, by the mercy of, whenever he was asked, he said, it's only due to my mercy of my spiritual master. I could preach this message all over the world. He made them centers all over the world, farms, restaurants, like that. By giving them prasad. He was very concerned giving them prasad. Now we don't have the sweet because before it was there because of the pandemic. Right? How the system is all from morning to night, how anybody comes, they get something like that. Krishna consciousness, like that. Devotional purpose very different. So actually a great soul, he thinks of everybody. So nice program by books, by kirtan, everything connected with Krishna. Like Prashadam, like that. So it says devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection, even if he renders devotional service for a long time. Second, Krishna does not easily deliver perfection in devotional service. This means that Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious. Hare Krishna. Why Krishna doesn't give? He says that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that he does not have ulterior motives. So we read yesterday how Satatam Kirtayantu Mam, the great souls with great determination, they always engage in Krishna consciousness. So here also it says, this means that Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, and he does not have ulterior motives. Generally, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's prayer also, na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, at 24, he took sannyas. He gave up all these things, He says, that means Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, that he does not have ulterior motives. Generally, in this material world, that's why this material world is mentioned, like we are a prison houses. If this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. He says, if this is the case, devotional service can very easily be successful. Otherwise, it is very difficult to obtain from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So nice statement, it is very nice. As long we have material desire, it will be not cause of distress only, he says here. And he says, devotional perfection is very difficult to attain for two reasons. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, one has to become attached to Krishna, attached to the holy name, attachment to the devotees, attachment to the deities, attachment to the scriptures. All this, all have to have a higher taste. Unless you don't have a higher taste, we cannot give up the lower taste. So we can see in this example of Pingala, his story of Pingala, how she attained perfection. Yeah. She became discarded, she became renounced, giving up her hankering for her. She engaged herself thinking only of the Supreme Lord. She was only thinking of the Lord. Before she was thinking how giving her body shape to engage, but now she is thinking of only for the Supreme Lord, and her mind achieved the Supreme platform. So that's why hopes for sense gratification are the root cause of all suffering. Such hankering can fix himself in meditation of the Supreme. Therefore, only one who has given up such hankering can fix himself in meditation on the person of Godhead and achieve transcendental peace. Who has given up such hankering can fix himself. One has to give up the hope for sense gratification. Such a person can fix up his mind. And next is we read material senses is cause of distress only. Now it says devotional service very difficult to attain for two reasons. Unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection. Even if he renders devotional service for a long time, attached to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram Hare. Haridas Thakur is an example. Right? So much examples are there in the scriptures. Parikshit Maharaj, Amrish Maharaj, goes on, Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruv Maharaj. So nice stories are there, so wonderful pastimes, everybody. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, even in yesterday's class, we heard about Sanatan Goswami and a devotee of Shiva. How a devotee of Shiva, he was wanting some material, he wanted a touchstone. So wherever you touch, he can get gold. And Lord Shiva was pleased by his service. And he told, you go to Sanatan Goswami in Vrindavan. And Sanatan Goswami told, that touchstone is in the garbage. And then he told he may have something very valuable thing than this. So he saw this sincerity of this person. Then he told, you sit down and chant Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we have to be attached to the holy name, in other words. First, unless one is attached to Krishna, he cannot attain devotional perfection, even if he renders devotional service for a long time. Second, Krishna does not easily develop perfection in devotional service. This means that Krishna wants to see that a devotee is actually sincere and serious, and that it does not have ulterior motives. If this is the case, of divorce service can very easily be successful. Otherwise, it is very difficult to obtain from the Supreme Person of Godhead. So temple life is very pure life. Temple life is very austere life. There's an opportunity to be attached to Krishna. But whatever, wherever we are, our consciousness is important. So an uncontrolled mind and unchaste wife are the same. Now it says an unchaste wife actually. This training is not there actually. How to be a chaste wife in Kali Yuga. It says an uncontrolled mind and unchaste wife are the same. Uncontrolled mind and unchaste wife, they are both same. It says an unchaste wife can kill her husband at any time. An uncontrolled mind followed by lust, anger, one should be very careful of the mind, just as a husband should be careful of an unchaste wife. This is example given. Then unchaste wife can kill a husband. There are many incidents in news we hear all these things. And similar, the mind is also example given. Uncontrolled mind followed by lust. Before we read sense gratification, the cause of misery is only here. Although one may conquer all other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. Although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. This is the most voracious of all senses, tongue. Just in the tongue, there will be fight between family, even in relatives. We read from Bhagavad Gita and the war of Kurukshetra, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, they were envious of each other. Even in brothers, there was enviousness. This is the nature of the material world, enviousness. He says here, although one may conquer all of the other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said that one has controlled his senses. However, if one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of the senses. Yeah, the tongue's nature is to talk. The example is given of frog. Frog is thinking very nice, he's chanting, croak, 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 croak. Here we don't see, in India we see that rainy season, there are croaks, croak, 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 croak. Yes, Prabhu. Yeah, in the pond or in the lake like that, and when rain comes, it becomes flooded like that. And you can hear the croak, 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 croak. Or in the farm field also. Many things. Yeah. Although one may conquer all other senses, as long as the tongue is not conquered, it cannot be said one has controlled the senses. However, one is able to control the tongue, then one is understood to be in full control of all the senses. Rasavajam apyasya param drishtva nivarti. Only by higher taste of Krishna consciousness can one give up the lower taste. Keep one imprisoned in material bondage. So this tongue, what we eat, what we talk, because this tongue may just talk, or eat. So we have to control this tongue like that. Eat only prasadam, chant Krishna, only speak about Krishna, nothing else. That should be the life and soul of. It's the very pastimes of. Indeed, the greatest happiness renounce all desire, even the. Yeah. I give one before this of tongue, bhakti. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, controlling the senses is the most important. Tongue is the most voracious, and Krishna is very kind. He has given us this prasadam. So one can control the senses. We read this story of Pingala. It's a very nice chapter. And before that is the example of an python. Python is given. Python is lying in one place. He is very detached, but he gets his food like that. Very nice example is given. Saintly person also should be like that. He should collect footsteps from the field like that. He should not depend. The different senses are given, like the deer hearing senses, and it's being attracted. So one has to control. Different examples are given, like how the eyes are becoming attracted to the form, the ears, the sound. The different species, like a fish, cannot control his tongue, and it loses its life. And moth, it sees a form, and it goes over there. So, yeah. She says here, just see how greatly illusion I am. Because I cannot control my mind, just like a fool, I desire lustily pleasure from an insignificant man. In material existence, all of the senses are attracted by different objects, and thus the conditioned souls become a first-class fool. It says, if we, in every page of Bhagavatam is how it cuts off ignorance. Generally, we may not like it, but here it says, in material existence, all of the senses are attracted by different objects. And thus the conditioned soul become a first-class fool, it says. First-class fool. There are different classes of people here. It says, oh, yes, it's a first-class fool here. In material existence, all of the senses are attracted by different objects. Everybody has attracted this knows. When we are young, we become the center of all. We want to become the center, right? I'm something special, good. Whatever, you look very young, energetic, and everybody feels like I'm something great like that. But we are very tiny, very struggling under the material nature. He says, in material existence with our body, mind, and senses. In material existence, all of the senses are attracted by different objects. And thus the conditioned soul becomes a first-class fool. The cause of material life is one's indifference to the absolute truth. The cause of material life is one's indifference to the absolute truth. The conditioned soul considers himself to be a lord and enjoyer of the material world, and consider the purpose of life to be sense gratification. The conditioned soul considers himself to be the lord and enjoyer of the material world, and consider the purpose of life to be sense gratification. So this very tiny, now we are in 1/7. I am the master, I am the enjoyer, I am the proprietor. We're struggling very hard we are controlled in every step by the laws of nature, and material laws are there. Many laws are there in material law. So anyway, eating also we can. The more one tries to enjoy the material world, the more one illusion increases. The more one tries to enjoy the material world, the more one's illusion increases. It appears from this verse, Pingala was not only earning her livelihood through the prostitution, but was actually enjoying her illicit connect with innumerable men. The word Khanta Dasta indicates that she was freely selling herself without discrimination to the most ordinary and useless men, considering to be lovers. Thus she says, I was a great fool. The word Bhasha means one who has a childish, without practical experience of right and wrong. Without practical experience. Generally, we are immature. In immature, we do a lot of mistakes. But when we are matured by this knowledge of the scriptures and we apply in life, that's the path of perfection. Yes. I'm such a fool that I've given up the service of that person who is being eternally situated with my heart. Yeah? I'm such a fool that I've given up the service of that person who, being eternally situated within my heart, is actually most dear to me. So Krishna is our real friend. So here he said this topic is on conjugal love of the gopis. That's very transcendental platform. That's on a transcendental platform. We can develop a relation in different ways, as a friend, as Krishna, as a lover. But now here he says, I'm such fool. I have given up the service of that person who, being eternally situated with my heart, is actually most dear to me. That most dear one is the Lord of the universe, who is the bestower of real love and happiness and the source of all prosperity. Although he is my own heart, I have completely neglected him. Instead, I have ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires, who have simply brought me unhappiness fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. Similarly, there's a nice song in uh, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, I think so. Yeah, Amar Jivan Sada Pape Rat Nahi Punyuro Klesh. My life is full of sin. I had no good qualification. Another song is also there where it says, I have served Jivana Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala Bhajo Reman Sri Nanda Nandana Abhaya Charan Arvinde Durlabha Manava Janma Satsange Tarohi Bhav Sandure. So this human form of life, we can cross this ocean of miseries, cycle of repeated birth and death. So here also it says, yeah, she has, we've served some masters. They didn't give anything. They were only misers. Just they take it, Like this modern education teaches to work hard. Just you're serving others, but they don't give anything in place of that. They're called misers. Here it says, but here it says, although he's my own heart, I have completely neglected him. Instead, I have ignorantly served insignificant men who can never satisfy my real desires, who have simply brought me unhappiness, fear, anxiety, lamentation, and illusion. So this is a capitalist society. So people work very hard. Um, they don't know whom working for, and they don't give something spiritual knowledge. They don't bring happiness. Instead, it's just working hard and harder, just for a cup of bread. Like now, the fuel price is $6, $7, $5. Where it's heading over. The whole economy is based on fuel. Many things are there like that. Fuel, car, like that goes on. People are working hard. People. Pingal lament that she chose to serve most sinful men. She falsely thought they would bring her happiness and neglected to serve the actual Lord of the heart, Krishna. She could understand how foolishly she had struggled for money, not knowing that the Supreme Lord is always inclined to award prosperity to his sincere devotees. She could understand how foolishly she had struggled for money, not knowing that the Supreme Lord is always inclined to award prosperity to his sincere devotee. The Pingala was proud of her ability to please men, but she now lamented she did not try to please the Supreme Lord by loving service. That's the next verse. Premanjan Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Chaturita, Bhakti Vilochina, Santa Sadeva Hrideshu Vilokiyanti, Yam Shama Sundaram, Chintya Guna Surupam. One has to put the ointment of love, Premanjana. One should develop the love for Krishna in all our activities, how we can do the best service. Suppose we have cleaned the temple also, it's equal to, Prabhupada also says it's similar like deity worship also. We keep it very clean. Prabhupada says the temple should be very first class clean. We offer many things, paraphernalia. We offer food to the Lord. Our consciousness, what we cook, it goes up, except, and to chant nicely Hare Krishna mantra. Deity worship is so opulent, so beautiful. The deities are, especially ISKCON temples, we have deities so nicely dressed. It looks so opulent. Very cleanliness is next to godliness. So nice process it is, Krishna consciousness. We can purify our. Here it says, yeah, everybody can engage by their capacity, everything, because we have a good health, then we can engage in the service of the Lord. Very nice. And if we don't have strong energy, health, we need, health will give us problem. We cannot. That's also obstacle. Yes, yes. She says she had struggled for money, not knowing that the Supreme Lord is always inclined to award prosperity to his sincere devotee. To sincere devotees. So when you do engage in sincerely, then everything comes here. Okay. She was proud of her ability to please him, but she now laments that she did not try to please the Supreme Lord by loving service. She is now lamenting that she did not try to please the Supreme Lord by loving service. So nice process it is. In the morning we offer sandesh. For sandesh you have to cook 3 hours, 4 hours. It turns very dark brown, and the Lord we offer it. Sandesh and rabdi, full cup of rabdi, and sandesh, sweet, and then we distribute to the public. This prasadam like that. It's very nice. Um, Then we dress we dress the deities, we bath the deities, we offer paraphernalias, nice incense, nice lamps. Devotees make nice lamps and make it offer to everything. The plate should be very shining like that. It should not be black, very dark like that. Many things are there. And the food also should be very clean. Then our eating is good. Then we can think nice and everything should be there. Yeah. So yes, yes, yeah. She did not try to please us by loving. The Supreme Lord is completely aloof from the transactions of the material world. Lord Krishna is the actual enjoyer of everyone, everything, but one must learn how to please the Lord by pure spiritual service. Hare Krishna. So that's what here it says. But one must learn how to please the Lord by pure spiritual service. One love how to please the Lord by pure. That's why training is very important. Association is very important. We get trained up properly, then we can do devotional service very nicely. We approach self-realized, unadulterated, pure devotee of the Lord, and learn from him this of Krishna consciousness. Yeah. I have usually tortured my own soul. I have sold my body to lusty, greedy men who are themselves objects of pity, thus practicing the most abominable profession of a prostitute. I hope to get money and sex pleasure. So Pingala was prostitute man. Pingala was so foolish that she maintained a romantic conception of her profession and was actually trying to enjoy loving affairs with her customers, not realizing that they were the lowest of men with the most abominable motives. Pingala, one should understand that by giving up the devotions of the Lord, one simply becomes a victim of the illusory and suffers greatly. He says one should understand by giving up the devotional service of the Lord, one simply becomes a victim of the illusion energy of the Lord, energy, and suffers greatly. So Krishna is there, Maya. Krishna, Surya Saman, Maya, Andhakar. So if you stay in a room, you have to come out someday, and then you come in between a lot of people, then you become happy. In alone room, you'll be. So similarly, the light is there, sunlight is there. If you remain in darkness, nobody can help, right? You have to go to the sunlight. You feel fresh. You become very energetic like that. Here it says, one should understand that by giving up the devotional service, giving up the devotional service of the Lord, one simply becomes a victim of the illusion energy and suffers greatly. So we don't know who comes from the door. Prabhupada says, anyone who comes inside the door, he's a very potential candidate for Krishna consciousness. We don't know how. Like in example, in Houston, there was a doctor next to the temple like that. And he gave all his money to the temple. And now they have a very beautiful project. They have a nice garden, farm, very nice garden. It is beautiful day for the deities. Lot of and even the temple nice, and architect and garden is very beautiful. Many things are there like that going on. They have a restaurant also now. Yeah, yeah. So many things like George Harrison, he gave Bhakti Manor like that. Many things like that. Even the Apple founder, he used to say, I used to walk and go to have prasadam. So if we don't know anybody, Prabhupada says, comes to the temple, he is a very potential candidate. We don't know when Krishna will empower them. Right? We also came to temple and we became devotees like that. Many things. We got a book. This material body is like a house in which I, the soul, am living. The bones forming my spine, ribs, arms, and legs are like the beams, cross beams, and pillars of the house, and the whole structure, which is full of stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair, and nails. The 9 doors leading into this body are constantly exhaling foul substances. Beside me, what woman could be so foolish that as to devote herself to this material body, thinking that she might find pleasure and love in this contraption? So heavy it is here. Hare Krishna. Generally, this I conscious body conception is very strong, 99.9.9. It's now here says, material body is like a house in which I, the soul, am living. The bones forming my spine, ribs, arms, legs are like the beams, cross beams, and pillars of the house. And the whole structure, which is full of stool, Hare Krishna, and urine, is covered by skin. That's a nice story of the liquid beauty, and very nice. Mr. Universe, he was attracted, and woman was attracted to a spiritualist like that, and she told that uh, he wanted to marry her. Then he told, okay, you come after some days. Nah. Then she took some pills and she took some, and she passed. She became very weak. She vomited and she kept everything in this. So she told he could not recognize him. Then he told, what happened? She said, I want to marry you. You're looking so beautiful. So he told, this is my beauty. She shows all the different this. So here also it says, the material body is like a house. In each eye, the soul I'm living. The bones forming my spine, ribs, arms, and legs are like the beams, cross beams, and pillar of the house. And the whole structure, which is full of stool and urine, is covered by skin, hair, and nails. The 9 doors leading into this body are constantly extracting foul substances. The 9 doors leading into this body are constantly extracting foul substances. So, any part of the body we put our hand, nothing good comes. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue, is the ear is. Beside me, what woman could be so foolish? Yeah, I have a name, Shubhkrit. 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 Real, you see, selfless is real good. Selfish is entanglement. He said, "Beside what woman could be so foolish as to devote herself to this material body, thinking that she might find pleasure and love in this contraption?" Hare Krishna. The 9 doors leading into this body are constantly extracting foul substances. Beside me, what a woman could be so foolish to devote herself to this? The 9 doors leading into and out of the body are the 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, mouth, 2 ears, the genitals, and the anus. Arms or spine also means bamboo, and indeed the skeleton appears to resemble a bamboo construction. Just as a bamboo can be immediately burnt to ashes or chopped into pieces, similarly the material body, which is constantly deteriorating, may at any moment be crushed into powder, cut into pieces, drowned, burned, and suffocated, and so on. Eventually the body must disintegrate, and therefore there is certainly no one is as fortunate as one who has dedicated himself heart and soul to the flimsy body which is filled with unpleasant elements. The body will finish, either it will be burned or it will be ashes, or it will be put mixed in the earth. The worms will eat like that, and then it will bring nature call, and again. So eventually, the body must disintegrate, and therefore there is certainly no one as unfortunate as one who has dedicated himself heart and soul to this flimsy body which is filled with unpleasant elements. So this material civilization is more there on this body conception, unpleasant. Hare Krishna, Srimad Bhagavatam. Time is coming. It's a lot to go, but yeah. Any comments, any questions? Wonderful. This wonderful pastimes one has to give. Yeah, who intensely desired money gradually become morose and face dried up, thus being full with anxiety for money and most disappointed, she began to feel a great detachment for her situation. Happiness arose in her mind. Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's what hope after hope. Hope produces only misery. Hopelessness is the greatest happiness. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu becomes ecstatic. The greatest happiness is to renounce all desires. Yes. Hope against hope produces only misery. Utter hopelessness is the greatest happiness. You have to feel hopeless. We have to take shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord.
It's a very radical idea, the idea that you had quoted the one song we sing, that the senses are pathways leading to death. Because generally the understanding is that just having the senses gives one happiness. So it's a very radical idea that, and I mean, you stated it, that actually nothing good comes of the senses. It is a rather extraordinary concept that one can actually even elevate the senses themselves through the process of Krishna consciousness. It's a very radical idea.
No, it's a prayers in Mahaprasadi Govinde. Yarida Vidyajal, Jedendra Kaikal. It's a network of illusion. So senses can be utilized in a right way also. Senses can be utilized in a wrong way also. That's why it says sense gratification is the causes of all miseries. In this lecture we heard about that. This is giving of the story of a Pingala, how she maintained her body, but out of utter hopelessness, she remembered the Lord in that situation also. So yeah, we have lake shore. We can use We can use our senses. So nice nature is given. We can remember Krishna, and we can misuse also. Depends on how you play. Because Krishna is the master of Krishna's one name is Rishikesha. He's the master of senses. Or Govinda. Govinda means one who gives pleasure to the cows and the senses. Savaimana Krishna Padarvindir. So we have to bring the senses in the service of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam.